beers coming out, set to be released at Launchpad Brewery here over the next week and a half. You hear the sigh from head brewer Paul Mahoney. What's the lead up like to getting ready for our 5th anniversary weekend, by the way? Trying to have all those beers on tap ready to go.
It's a lot of planning. A lot of these beers have been produced either 1 or 2 months in advance, and then some even as far as a year in advance, like the 2 we have here in barrels that are getting ready to be transferred into our bright tanks. So some beers take a long time to make for anniversary parties.
Yeah, and you point out the puncheons here. These are our friends on this edition of the Launchpad Liftoff, because a very special concoction is inside, set to be released coming up for our anniversary week. That will start July 20th, last the whole week. Tell us a little bit about what's going on in both of these barrels.
Yep, so both these beers are the same exact beer base-wise. It's a Saison that we decided to put into barrels. These are wine puncheons from Creekside Cellars that used to hold Robusto wine. And they sat there for just over a year, about a year and a week now. We kind of get a little bit behind schedule. But it's a nice, beautiful Saison with Brettanomyces, and then we decided to change it was to do different type of wine varietals for it. So this one we have right here is a Viognier, which is a white wine, a little bit dry, so we wanted to see how that would kind of pair with that Saison. And then the other one is with Shiraz grape juice, so it has that red wine character behind it. It should have a nice pink hue, and kind of want to show the contrast between the two. Our first anniversary we did a red wine Saison, so kind of for 5 years we decided to do 2 different ones to showcase kind of how we advanced.
Yeah, if you're a wine fan, by the way, and have not tried Creekside Cellars Robusto,
oh, it's incredible.
It's a damn nice red wine. We're going to talk a little bit on this edition of the Liftoff about recipe creation. 31 taps here at Launchpad Brewery, which we've talked about before, with a 5-barrel system, which you've seen on the Launchpad Liftoff before. That's not easy.
No, it's not. We're between myself and Dave, we're usually brewing anywhere between 4 and 6 days a week.
Yeah.
A lot of those days are not just one batch, a lot of those are 2 or 3 batches to keep our bigger tanks full. So we're constantly non-stop here, just trying to make sure we have enough beer. We're lucky to have a huge taproom presence, and our distribution game is getting a little bit stronger. So and we like to have different beers. That's kind of the fun part. Having 31 taps makes it so where we can have beers that at least somebody can be happy with something on tap.
Right.
And that way we have a wide variety. There's always something new, which is fun.
Yeah, and there are a couple of new beers on tap this week. You've got a New Zealand Pilsner,
yep,
which we're going to talk about here in just a little bit. We've got Bovetti. You're bringing back the Irish Blondes.
Yep, we decided to bring that back. That's a Great American Beer Fest entry. There's no Irish Blonde category. We'll be tucked away in a different category. We'll release them sure later in another video, but we just wanted to bring something back for summer, something that's refreshing, clean, and crisp. We're trying to really showcase that. We've had, I think 11 days over 90 degrees here in Colorado, yeah. So we're trying to really showcase some fun, crushable beers that you can drink out in nice hot weather.
Let's talk about, as a head brewer, how a recipe sort of develops or tweaks, because at Launchpad with 31 taps, we've got flagships, we've got one-offs, we've got stuff that comes back annually, and we're going to show you some of them here. Let's start with what I would say is probably our most award-winning beer.
Yes.
And certainly a flagship.
Award-winning and a flagship. Peacekeeper Porter has been around since the first inception of Launchpad Brewery. It was Dave's creation. We've definitely tweaked it a little bit. So Dave's idea behind that beer was to have something he can drink that can stand up to barbecuing. So he wanted something smoky, something rich, but he wanted something that was low in alcohol so he didn't burn his steaks, because I guess he had a big problem with drinking a lot of high alcohol stouts.
Yeah.
And Dave's a big fan of high alcohol stuff. So that beer comes in under 5%. It's usually 4.5%. So what we've been doing is constantly trying to change it a little bit, tweak it a little bit based on judge results from JBF and World Beer Cup. So.
And it's pretty rare that you find a porter that's smoked, no less, that comes in under 5%.
Very, very rare. I think it's kind of like the secret recipe for us, is that it's been kind of a beer that stands out in the category. So when it's up against other beers that are session beers, it's usually lighter, kind of has that presence of standing up, especially being smoked, having that big profile on it.
Yeah. Our second beer on the list is one that's been around at Launchpad Brewery for a long time, but has been tweaked pretty significantly. This is Trinity,
yep,
a Belgian Saison, but if someone comes in now and orders this, or a Belgian Triple, excuse me, someone comes in now and orders this, it's going to be a lot different than what they ordered 2 years ago.
Exactly, yeah. We're really excited with Trinity. It's been one of Dave's favorites. We've changed that recipe probably every 4 or 5 months, just trying to get it to where we absolutely love it. And then we got the base beer down where we were really happy. but we're really good friends at Law's Whiskey House, and we get a lot of Law's barrels through here. So we decided to kind of give a little homage back to one of my favorite beers, Allagash Curio, which is a Belgian Tripel aged in bourbon barrels for a super short duration. So we actually stick Trinity in those barrels for about 2 months. Nice thing about that is that it gets a good amount of flavor off it, but it's not overpowering on that bourbon note. And then the good thing is too, we get to reuse those barrels because there's still a lot of bourbon character still stuck in them.
Okay. And then one that's probably your baby.
It is my baby.
Out this week at Launchpad Brewery. You can come in and try it today.
Yep, finally.
It's the New Zealand Pilsner.
Yep, so New Zealand Pilsner. It's called As the Crow Flies, which is named after a Rocket Lab launch, which is a New Zealand rocket company sending satellites into space. So just want to do something nice, clean, bright for summertime. So it's Odyssey Pilsner and a little bit of Maris Otter. We get our Maris Otter from England. That's floor malted, kind of the old traditional way they used to malt. And just to give a little bit of breadiness. And that was kind of the concept, was that I had this clean, bright, bready beer. And then that really beautiful tropical hop aroma you get out of Victoria's Secret, which is one of my favorite hops that we get from that region of the world. So just wanted something clean and crushable, and it comes in at 5.5%, so it's something I can actually drink while we're working, hopefully have a couple while we're pushing these over.
Yeah. These are just a couple of the recipes that we're going to release at Launchpad Brewery, or are already released. Anniversary week starts July 20th. 12 beers, I think Paul told me. What's your favorite? What are you most looking forward to?
I'm definitely excited about these two right here, but we did a nice, beautiful blueberry goza, which is, I love that style because it's a little bit lower in alcohol and it has a little bit of salt. So we actually paired with a local salt company here called Feeding Francis, and they make these really cool salts. So they actually took Chardonnay and infused it into the salt, let it cure for about 3 or 4 days, and we use that into the beer, added blueberries. So that's kind of how we build our recipes, is kind of based on food, have that like blueberry Chardonnay pairing for us. So kind of really excited about that, plus something I could drink a lot of.
Yeah, if you're not drooling already, you will be when we come out with the exact beer releases and the dates. You can keep up with that on Facebook. We're still finalizing exactly what beer will come out on which day. But again, that anniversary week, we're going to celebrate through the week. We start Monday, July 20th. We end Sunday, July 26th, I believe that is. Be sure to check in on our podcast, The Brewski Reviewski. You can catch that on Podbean, iTunes, Stitcher, all the main sites. We'll see you here for Launchpad Brewery's 5th anniversary celebration in just a couple of days. And until the next time, raise your glass.
Cheers.